During their time at Daystar, former Daystar Vice President Jonathan Lamb and his wife Suzy Lamb say they were spiritually abused by Jonathan's mother, Daystar President Joni Lamb, and her close ally, Jimmy Evans. Jimmy is the founder of XO Marriage and Tipping Point Ministries. And what you're about to hear is stunning audio from a meeting between Jimmy Evans, Joni Lamb, and Jonathan and Suzy. Welcome to a special edition of The Roys Report, a podcast dedicated to reporting the truth and restoring the church. I'm Julie Roys, and what you're about to hear is one of the most stunning examples of spiritual abuse that I've ever witnessed. According to author Remy Diedrich, spiritual abuse happens when people use God or their supposed relationship with God to control people for their benefit. And in this video, Joni Lamb is upset because Jonathan and Suzy refused to read a listener comment praising her recent marriage to sex therapist Doug Weiss. So she brings in her ally, Jimmy Evans, and for 90 minutes they tell Jonathan and Suzy to submit to Joni, claiming she's the voice of God and that together they're representatives of God. When the couple resists, Joni says they're living in rebellion and they'll bring a curse on themselves and their kids. In the interest of transparency, we're releasing the full audio, which was recorded July 11th, 2023.
Send me that email. I was so mad and angry that I would have said terrible things. Just telling me the ability to really. I needed time to think about it, so I didn't respond. And I called you, and I called two other ministers, and I called a prophetic person that they all respect. That has kind of walked through the journey with me. Of course, you've been the main one to know everything. So I called you, and I told you what happened. There was a viewer feedback that we've gotten a lot of comments, and so because I'm introducing Doug to the audience, we're going to read one. I just want to tell you how much I've enjoyed watching ministry now with Joni's new husband, Dr. Weiss. That this is a viewer. Mm-hmm. He seems wonderful and they seem wonderful together. I also love watching the Daystar singers sing songs like No Fear and how they feature different people. It's amazing. Congratulations to Joni on her new marriage to a wonderful guy. Seems like he's a lot of fun. But they refused to read it. And I told you about that. And then Jonathan sent me the email that I've let you read. And so I'll just let you respond because I said, I need you to respond to me the way you feel about this.
Well, so can I ask you all a question?
Sure.
So do you feel that she's in an adulterous relationship?
No, that's not why we didn't do that.
You do feel that way? Do you feel like she's in an adulterous relationship?
Oh, I mean, I think God's the judge of that.
Yeah.
I can't really say for sure.
Well, you're judging it. I mean, your refusal to read that, you're
That's
judging.
not because of that, though.
Why is it? Because
That's a boundary. That's her marriage. It's different from ministry.
But
Ministry is here we're here to talk about God, and we're here to do that. Her marriage is out of Daystar. It's private. We have no relationship with him. He has not talked to us once. We don't talk. I will never be fake on TV.
Yeah. So here's my feeling. So she's your mom, and so if you were pastor of First Baptist in Lubbock, then you would not have to acknowledge the relationship. You know what I'm saying? Because you're separate. But you're here. You're in Daystar. And she's your mom, but she's also the boss. And you're making a judgment. Now, if it's a personal thing, great. Christmas, Thanksgiving, birthdays, you're welcome to do whatever you want to privately. Mm-hmm. But because you're an employee here, what you're saying is you don't recognize her marriage to Doug as a part of Daystar, which means if Doug's on the set.
Because we don't want to read something about him, viewer feedback. That's us saying that we don't acknowledge her marriage.
Yeah, Suzy, You're making a judgment. You're making a judgment that their relationship is invalid.
No, that's wrong. It's a personal relationship with him that I don't have.
Okay, so she's married to Doug now.
Yeah, that's her husband.
Okay, and you're on her show.
Okay.
Ministry Now is her show.
Okay.
This is her network.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it's God's, but yeah. God has put her in charge.
That's right. And so she is saying, as a directive, I want you to read this comment related to Doug and me. Okay. And you're saying no.
Yeah, I will not go against my convictions is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, if that's your personal conviction, I just don't know And what I said to Joni is, I just don't know how you continue to work here if that's
Because our job is about God, interviewing people, getting their testimony. That's what the
is
job
about
we
doing
do.
what she says. And so here's the thing. So if you have a personal conviction and you're saying we can't recognize it, I respect that. Okay, I completely respect that. For you guys individually, wherever you are, but as an employee here, you're making a judgment on the relationship that she has with Doug that says it's not scriptural. Now you believe that. You don't believe it's scriptural. Okay? It's not scriptural, which means it's adulterous, which means she has an invalid marriage. And so you're unwilling to recognize it, and you're the vice president of the network. Okay. So I'm saying individually, I respect your boundaries. If that's a boundary, I get that. As an employee, that's not that you can't do it. Now, if she's asking you to commit a sin, don't do that on any job. Okay, she's not asking you to commit a sin. Now, that's our conviction. Now, your conviction is she's asking you to sin because she's asking you to recognize a marriage that you don't recognize. Is that
To
right?
speak statements that I don't agree with.
Yeah.
But they're not your statements. It was a viewer's statement.
Yeah.
So you're reading a viewer comment.
Well, so what I said to her on the phone was, you just can't do that. I mean, as an employee, you can't impose your personal views on something that affects the network. She's married. She's married to Doug. Doug's going to be on the set during Ministry Now, during A Heart for the World. He's going to be in the building.
We've been completely fine. We just do our jobs and leave. We've not done anything.
So would you be on the set with Joni and Doug talking about their marriage?
Why? What would we talk about? It's not our marriage. It's her marriage. If it's hard
Would-
for the world and we're doing it for Daystar, yeah.
But if they were talking about their marriage,
What would we do? Obviously, we'd just stand there.
I mean, would you say anything?
What would we have to say? We have no
But I'm
part in their
saying,
relationship. We'd have no relationship
if there was a conversation going on that had to do
right now.
with their marriage,
What would we have to say about it? Nothing.
you wouldn't recognize the marriage.
Why would we have to recognize anything? They're married. We're not going to say she's single.
You do have to recognize their marriage. You were asked to read a comment.
She's
that you-
married.
You wouldn't read the comment.
Yeah, because that's about Doug.
It's about what?
It's about Doug.
So it's Doug that you're against.
It's Doug that we have no relationship with, yes. I'm not going to fake something that it's not there.
So
Well-
you're not saying it. It was a viewer comment. Can I read what
Yeah.
a pastor said? This is
Yeah.
a pastor of 35 years. Joni, I've been giving thought and prayer to the issue with your kids.
Who's this pastor?
Here are some thoughts. First, we learn in the Old Testament that rebellion is the sin of witchcraft. The reason rebellion is like witchcraft is because when we rebel against authority that is set over us, we are stepping out from under the protective covering and inviting demonic spirits to attack us with no covering. Witchcraft is inviting demonic spirits to influence our lives. If we feel the authority over us is in error, we have the right to appeal to the authority in humility. If the authority decides to continue with the choice they have made, then we have two options.
Yeah.
We remove ourselves from that authority, or we submit to that authority.
Right.
There is not a third option of staying under the authority and attempting to force them to change or stay with our opinion. That is rebellion on steroids and will open destruction in our lives. Correction for those in authority is God's job, not ours. If we try to correct them, we are being God. Correction for those being in authority, again, is God's job, not ours. If I have seen people become self-appointed correctors, which is what we have here, of those in authority, and watch their own lives fall apart because their rebellion destroyed them. This is 35 years of being a pastor. When we submit to authority, even if we don't fully agree with them, we protect ourselves and allow God to bless us. I've personally been in some positions where I did not understand why God had me in that role at that time, because I saw things that I could not support. I prayed and knew I was where I was supposed to be, so I kept my mouth shut and refused to speak anything negative about the person in authority. In every situation, my submission and humble attitude allowed God to bless me in ways I could have never imagined. At the same time, God took care of the person who was in authority, but not always the way that I thought that he should, but it would always be the right way. Secondly, in addition to this being an issue of rebellion to submission, I believe this is an issue of trust. Our years of personal interaction have caused us to trust you to be a woman of God who desires the things of God. And so he goes on to say, any child has had moments when they thought they were smarter than their parent. That is the way life works. But on the other hand, not only you're a boss, but as these are your children, we choose to trust our parents even when we may be tempted to think we know better than them. This is an issue of honor. The Bible teaches us to honor our mother and father, that it may go well with us and that we may live a long and prosperous life. The Bible puts no qualification on that commandment. We are told honor our parents, blah, blah, blah. He goes on, but basically he was saying...
Who is that asking me?
It doesn't matter who it is.
No, I'm just curious.
It's somebody that you would trust.
But why can't you tell me?
And then the prophetic person said...
Mom, why can't you tell me who it is?
The prophetic...
Mom, can you answer my question?
No, I'm not going to tell
But
you
why?
who it is.
Why are you hiding who it is?
Because they don't want to get in the middle of it with you guys. Jimmy is the main person that I'm talking
I know,
to.
but
But they said I could use...
That's disingenuous. It shows their word can't stand up to any type of rebuttal if we can't talk to them.
Let me finish this, and I'll ask them if I can share with you, okay. Who it is. The prophetic minister said, because you know a prophetic person, that this is my Alamo, and it's time for me to take a stand. That this is no longer acceptable, that I'm married, and that this is disrespect and dishonor and rebellion on the highest level. And he said, no more mixed or divisive signals. Doug and I are one. If they disrespect him, they're disrespecting me. And then I had one of the singers, and it was not Cindy, who sent me on the day that I...
What was that about? I'm sorry, just to clarify, the Alamo, is he saying that's your Alamo?
Yeah, he's saying that there's a time to take a stand against what you guys are doing, and that I can't allow that to happen, and that you didn't build Daystar, and that you have inherited the blessing, but you didn't build it. And so I'm the appointed person that God's put in charge, and for you to disrespect me in the level you did is not acceptable. But this is the interesting thing. On the day that they wouldn't read it,
I wasn't disrespecting.
it was so funny because Doug didn't know anything about it. Okay, so he didn't know anything about the fact that I was going to get them to read it. But on the day that I cut them from the program when they wouldn't read it. And Jonathan said he wasn't comfortable reading it. So I said, well, I'm not comfortable with you being on the show. And I was really angry, and I apologize for that. Now, I'm going to try to be more loving, because I do love you guys so much. And I believe you've been deceived in a lot of ways. And I know you're wrong about this. But on the day that I did this, Suzy put this on her Instagram. When Jehu begins to carry out his instruction, Joram sends messengers to ask 3 times, do you come in peace? Jehu replies, I never saw this. They sent this to me.
That was my daily devotional.
How can there be, let me read. How can there be peace as long as all the idolatry and witchcraft of your mother, Jezebel, abound? And she underlines in red,
oh my gosh.
Jezebel, your mother.
Yeah.
Jezebel herself asked the same question, have you come in peace? The answer was no. Jezebel died a horrible death, the fulfillment of the prophecy that Elijah had given. Then she says, your boasting about this is terrible. Don't you realize that this sin is like a little yeast that spreads through the whole batch of dough? Get rid of the old yeast by removing this wicked person from among you. Then you will be like a fresh batch of dough made without yeast, which is what you really are. Christ, our Passover lamb, has been sacrificed for us. So,
okay, tell me the date. I'm going to show you my Bible app and the date that it was posted.
Let me just finish. So people have noticed her behavior. They've noticed her devotionals. I've had I don't know how many people here at Daystar to tell me what the hell is going on with her. And so for this to happen on the day that everyone is saying, what is it? Like, is she? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't see it. So if you tell me that you didn't mean that towards us, then I'll believe you. But I'm just saying, it is, consequential, if you will,
You think I was calling you Jezebel?
I mean, I hope not, but that's what people are telling me that they think from seeing this. So
no one ever says anything to me.
No one.
Why people have told you that?
Let's pull up the
Jonathan,
date.
I'm not going to tell you people here.
I'm just curious because I can talk to them and because of the record.
No, babe, it doesn't matter.
But this is the thing, y'all. This is and Jimmy, you please jump in and correct me if I'm wrong in anything I'm saying. Okay.
But Suzy should be able to clarify the...
If Suzy tells me she didn't mean that towards me, I believe her, okay? Suzy.
Okay.
If you tell me that, I believe that. But it did look
This is the Bible in 1 year. Mm-hmm. And I've been, almost every day, I'll post whatever's on the reading for the day. I don't even know where Jezebel is in the Bible, to be honest. Which book?
Okay. I believe you, and I'm glad I was able to share it with you.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay, so this is the thing I feel like the Lord showed
Wait,
me.
so did they tell you that I called you the yeast? That
No,
should be.
no. They just said, "What is she doing?" And people were in the studio. Jonathan came in the studio in front of the singers and argued with me about wanting to read the other viewer feedback. And I said, "If you can't read the one," so they all saw that, and they also saw me mad. And I said, "Leave the set," because they were about to come to the songs. It was a bad situation. But anyway, I just think there has to be a change of heart. I have to see that, because if I don't see that, and if I know they don't respect and honor me, and they don't respect and honor him, he's been nothing but a blessing to me, an incredible husband the month that I've been married to him. He doesn't want to take over Daystar. I think really the fear here is not that he would interfere in Daystar. I think the fear is that somehow they think they're losing something by him coming. But that's a lie from the enemy. It's just not true.
We haven't done one thing to him.
And so
I just mind my business and go home.
No, you have been rude, both of you. I was with his daughter
How
and
have
his
you been
son-in-law
rude?
this weekend. And like, for instance, even today I told Alicia, tell Jonathan back to you, Mom and Doug. And he refuses to do it.
No, I didn't. You didn't tell me to do that. Wasn't a directive
And
from
Alicia
you.
told me, I got a text right here from her. She said, I've told him every day, say, throw it back to Mom and Doug, and he doesn't do it. And then today I said, no, tell them for sure. And she said, we'll keep reminding everyone to say back to Joni and Dr. Doug, both on the whiteboard and verbally. We really only have the issue with Jonathan and Suzy. Everyone else is doing it. So again, if you tell me you totally didn't get that or missed it,
Well, I always
I
say
got
back
it.
to you, Mom, because we've been having rotating co-hosts for the past.
But you used to
year.
If
always
you're not
say-
comfortable, Jonathan, just say it. Just be honest. It's fine.
Well, I mean, it's
That's
just a
where I am.
habit that I say it.
That's where I am. If we're not comfortable, we have to discuss it. We can't keep going in
Exactly,
circles.
exactly. But I'm just saying, if you two were that uncomfortable, then you probably need to take a rest from ministry now.
Sure.
And you need to take a rest from hosting. And maybe even a rest from the green room. Now, I don't want that to happen, because when I'm gone, I like to have them host. They're my kids. But I can't have the disrespect and dishonor any longer. I can't have the divisiveness in the studio. I can't have what I feel when I look over there, what I see, what I sense. And if any of them feel that way, it's like, they need to remove themselves from under my authority. And the only way to do that is to leave Daystar. And I don't want to see that. But I think, and Jonathan says, well, Mom, you threatened me. I don't threaten. You heard what I said in that meeting.
Well, I agree with what you read from that pastor, and that is, if you believe that she is wrong, which we've been through months of.
It's just a boundary we want to keep. That's
Well,
all.
I'm talking about her getting married to Doug.
It's her choice. God gives free will.
Okay, so you disagreed with it. You disagreed with it very strongly. We said at my office in that meeting, you guys gave all your reasons why you thought it was wrong.
Yeah.
And there were things that Suzy said that I'm finding out now that I didn't know about.
Like
because
what?
people have come to me and told me.
Like what?
And you told me things that she said, innocent things that I said to her in confidence, that she weaponized against me.
Like what?
Including, acting like, for some reason, that my marriage to Marcus was just about kingdom, but it wasn't that I loved him and that he was the love of my life, when he absolutely was.
I only told Jonathan that.
And leaving that to the kids. No, you said it to the
You
kids.
told me that.
Told you what? Make the statement?
Yes.
That she said that her marriage to Marcus was kingdom, and she's really in love with Doug. It's romantic.
Right.
Why is that a bad statement? I was
Well,
processing
you said
it.
that's what she said.
We talked about that.
No,
yes.
I didn't say it like that.
It wasn't like that. I don't understand how that even fits in this situation.
No, there were other things that you said where you misrepresented
Like
me
what?
to the family.
Like what? I just bought everything.
I can go through everything with
Please
you. We
do.
can sit the whole family and go
Yeah, but
through
here-
it.
I think we should. I think that would be good.
That'd be good to
Yeah,
clean.
because
No.
I do wanna have
We've been
a
through all that
clean-
stuff. We've been through all that stuff.
But
We've
I'd
been
rather
through
clean
hours
it. If it involves me, I'd rather
hours
clean it
No,
out
but we
because
wouldn't-
I didn't do
Let me
anything
go
in
back to what I was
secret.
saying.
I
Let me
did
go back
nothing
to
in
what I was saying.
secret. I want it out there.
I think you should submit or leave. I think you
Submit or
both
leave.
should submit
Submit
or
or
leave.
Okay,
leave.
so let's define that. Submit
Do what she says is right without argument, like she said.
to whatever.
if you-
Blindly, if you have a conviction, doesn't matter.
If you have a personal conviction that keeps you from doing what she says, I think you should stick with your conviction and quit.
Okay, so
But you can't stick with your conviction and stay.
all right.
Because you can't, you have made this process of her getting married as miserable as it can possibly
you
be.
have. Yes, you have.
Now, this can't continue. There has to be a breaking at some point. Now, and I respect you if you just say, you know something, I can't submit and we're going to go over here and do this. I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I don't respect is we're going to have it our way. We're going to take the paycheck from her, but we're going to do it our way, not her way. You can't do that, because it does create division within Daystar. Jesus said, "A house divided can't stand."
That's right.
And right now, this is a house divided. And so you guys, and like I said, if she doesn't want you to leave, she's not asking you to leave. I don't want you to leave. I love you guys. You know, I hope you know I love you. But in this situation related to Doug, we disagree. Love you to death. Been known you forever. Think the world of you. But honestly, this just can't happen. It can't happen. So Joni has got to have the ability to lead this ministry knowing that everybody under her submitted. Now, if she did something, and she obviously has done something you disagree with, walk in the door and say, "Can I submit something?" "Sure. I think this and this and this." "Great. Well, let me pray about it." And she comes back and says, "You know something? I don't agree." You submit or you leave. But staying and disagreeing is not an option. And that's what you're doing. So everything's an argument. Everything's difficult. Everything, have to go through all the wrangling. And that has to
My own
stop.
grandchildren did not get to see me get married. Israel and Ari, as old as they are, didn't come to the wedding. She didn't come to my lingerie shower. She was the one that was the most for it and has stabbed me in the back more than anyone else in the family. And Jonathan follows along with whatever she says, which a leader can't do that.
What a joke.
I don't follow.
True
Wow.
leader cannot.
I don't follow them.
Yeah, you
He's
do.
the one who turned me.
Yeah, you do.
He's the one who turned me.
And so
No, I'm the leader.
Opening my
I'm
eyes.
the leader of the household.
Babe, it's fine. She can say anything.
well, people don't see it that way, but I'm just saying that
All that matters is
It
what
may-
God sees.
Yeah.
That's right. And God sees the truth. Let him judge between you and me. Let him.
Yeah.
I am fine with that, bro. I'm fine with it, son. So I love you. I love you both, but this is going to end. You submit or you leave. I'm not going to come in the studio. There will be another viewer feedback that says something nice about Doug. If you can't read it, then you don't need to be on the show. And then you don't need to come back the next day either. I'm just telling you, I don't want it to be this way, but he is a godly man. You know what I saw with his kids this weekend? We were with Hadassah and Chase. That's his daughter and son-in-law. And the respect and honor that they had for their father, knowing everything they've gone through, which divorce is not easy, we know that.
Yeah.
And the respect and honor that they showed me, my kids pale in comparison to how they've treated him like shit. I mean, I'm just telling you, it is so disrespectful. Marcus Lamb would kick Jonathan's butt if he was alive right now, in the way and the things he's done, the things he said, the fact that he would care more about what people think and his reputation than honoring his mother. That's what he did. He'll have to live with that. But I'm just saying that I am drawing the line in the sand today. This will end. And yes, I love them. They can believe that or not believe that. They've done a lot of damage. They've gone down, down, down in what I have seen for the future. But is it repairable? Of course it is. Do I love them? Yes, I do. Do I hate having to do this? Yes. But I am resolute.
Yeah.
And you have told me to be resolute.
Yeah.
And so did these other people tell me to be resolute.
Yeah, my patience ended.
I think it's good to have open conversations because part of the problem is that we haven't been able to talk. You've been so in your role with Doug, traveling to Colorado Springs all the time.
Now, what would you call the conversation we had in my office?
I'm sorry?
The 3-hour conversation we had in my office, was that not an open conversation?
It was, but we haven't had any really conversations since then. You've really have been kind
Well,
of...
you know what? I here I am. Have they called me one time, Mom, I'd like to have a conversation? No.
But I think
And
it's...
you were saying you don't have a relationship with Doug. That's your choice. Doug hasn't refused a relationship
No,
with you
he
guys.
hasn't. He would love to have a relationship with all my kids.
But I think it's good
He's
to...
been more mature than anyone through the whole
But
process.
Jonathan, what I'm saying is that
I just think it's good to have open conversations before things
it
build up.
doesn't change. It won't change anything until you...
No, I mean, I'm submitting that it's going to help to have open conversations instead of just letting things build up. To
Once
where,
you're submitted, it will. Until you're submitted, nothing. This is just a black hole that every word, every conversation is going to get sucked into the black hole, and it's just going to keep feeding this until you submit. And submission means she's the voice of God to you. Now, I pastored for 30 years in Amarillo, and I had a wonderful relationship with all the elders. And I said,
I'm sorry, can you clarify? She said she's the voice of God to me?
she's the voice of God
So
to you.
God's
And
voice is-
So I have
Daystar.
to hear, I can't hear from God, I have to hear from her?
Outside of Daystar. What she says is God in Daystar. This is the voice of God in Daystar now.
But what accountability does she have if she's off?
Well,
For
she has
him.
a husband. She has a board.
I'm on the board.
Yeah, but you're not, individually, you're not her accountability. Individually, you're her employee. And I'm
No,
saying,
I mean,
wait a minute, Jonathan.
I have accountability.
She's the voice of God in Daystar.
No, there's no other accountability
Romans
at
13
Daystar.
tells us to submit to authority, all authority, because it's established by God, and it's the minister.
No, but
God
I'm
does,
saying
even
who-
civil authority.
But who is her accountability at Daystar?
But that's not your concern. Your concern is to do what she says, and if you can't be here.
No, it is my concern.
No, Jonathan, you keep arguing with everything. You got to stop.
I'm not arguing.
You're arguing with everything. You've got to stop. And you've got to accept the fact that's the boss. You've got to do what she says. And if you can't, you got to leave. And not everything's going to be a conversation. When you're under authority and the general says, go over there, then you walk over there. You don't have to have a conversation. She's the general. She's the head here. And you're not. And that's the main thing. You're under her.
I know. I've made it clear that she's the president.
You
That's
do
a
not
question.
recognize her as being your boss. You do not
I do.
recognize. No, you
Of
don't.
course I do.
No,
Wow.
you don't.
I do.
Jonathan, you don't.
Yes,
I'm
I
telling
do.
you, you don't.
Babe, it's fine. Let him say it.
Listen, Jonathan, I've had a lot of people work for me over the years, and I know immediately when someone's submitted and when they're not, just by their spirit. And your spirit to this whole thing with Doug is you're standing over here.
No.
You won't budge. You argue. Everything's an argument. Everything's this dramatic process, and it just has to end. And it has to end with both of you acknowledging her authority. She is God's voice to you here on this property and related to Daystar Network. She is God's voice. Whether you say it or not, or whether you want to make it an argument or not, she's the boss. What she says goes. Now, if you, what I'm telling you is, if you don't believe that, you can't stay. She won't let you. If you do believe that and you submit to her with a right spirit, it's fine. All this can be repaired. But arguing and more talking won't get anybody anywhere.
Tell him what you told me about the Lord showed you about the stubbornness and what it leads to.
Well, when the Bible says this was related to Saul, and Saul says that rebellion is the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. And so it equates stubbornness with being an idol worshiper. And the reason it does is because stubbornness is the worship of your own opinion. And that's what y'all are doing. You're being stubborn. You're making an idol out of your own opinion related to Doug. And so the grace I've given both of you in all of this is your dad died 1.5 years ago. You know, and you talk about her being a grieving widow. Well, I know good and well that your father meant the world to you, that's a big issue to you. Here comes Doug in the midst of all the different circumstances that were going on. That's the grace I've given y'all. The grace I don't have any longer is we've talked this thing to death. I've been with you guys in several family meetings where I was as patient as I knew how to be, and you beat me up. You threw everything I said back in my face, didn't listen to a word I had to say. And that's why at the end of that last meeting I said, I'm done. This is in for me. So I tried to show grace. I tried to help. I tried to help you guys navigate through it. Nothing has helped to this point right here. And nothing's going to help until you submit. Now, again, if you say, we can't, this is a personal conviction, I totally understand that. I totally respect that. Because no one can force you to do something against your own personal convictions unless you're taking a paycheck. Unless you're voluntarily saying, I work for you, tell me what to do. And that's what you're doing. Now, you inherited all of this, and so this conversation never come up because it didn't have to. But the reality of it is, because you're taking a paycheck and because you're under her authority, you have to submit. The stubbornness is this opinion about Doug. You guys came in to see me in my office, all of you, the 6 of you talked. And at the end of that, I didn't agree. I mean, I didn't tell you I didn't agree. I just told you I wanted to pray about it. I'd never heard about it before. Y'all got mad at me because you didn't want my opinion. You just wanted me to change
Not
mine.
me and Jonathan.
No, you said we were respectful. That was the others.
That's right. And so what I said was they all got mad at me because they wanted me to change my mind about doing the wedding. The reason I didn't was because I didn't hear one fact. I heard opinions. Doug's evil. Doug's a predator, an opportunistic
I don't know why we're
predator.
talking about the past. We're just here to
Well,
talk
wait a
about
minute.
now.
Well, don't correct me. Don't correct me.
I'm not correcting
Don't
you. I'm
correct me.
trying
Don't correct
to
me.
understand.
But Doug's an opportunistic predator, and so you begin
Didn't
at
say
this
that.
dark assumption, and everything else builds on that. Everything's a part of that narrative. And at the end of that, if it was a court of law, not any of that could be admitted as evidence because it was all circumstantial. I was listening for facts. I didn't hear any. And so what I believe about you guys is you started with some bad assumptions. Now, Suzy, you were excited in the beginning about the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. something changed you. I don't know if that was Rodney Howard Brown or what it was.
No.
But something changed you, and then you guys changed and all began to have this dark narrative related to Doug.
And they've talked to others, like they've talked to other friends and people, like they have tried to impugn my character and Doug's character.
Yep.
So I know that for a fact.
Well, you did with me. I mean, you know, what I'm saying is that however you got to that point of believing that about Doug, I didn't know Doug well when this all started. I mean, I've been around Doug, but I just didn't know him. I've been totally impressed with Doug since the very beginning. And with his character, with his spirit, I've pressed him hard in private conversations. Every time I've pressed him, he's responded graciously and honestly and humbly. And so in everything, and I told you guys I had that final conversation with the Lord about Doug and Joni and just said, you know, I'm going to do a wedding unless you tell me otherwise. And the Lord confirmed it. So on every level, I have, with my experience of 41 years, I have done everything I can do to know. And I told her in the first conversation I had with her, if God won't bless it, I don't want to have any part of it. I don't want to do anything to get you to be a part of a relationship God won't bless. I put my hands on them and laid my hands on them at the wedding and blessed them because I believe God has blessed them. Okay. So, if that's something that you agree with, great. If that's something you don't agree with, and you can't then do whatever she asks you to do and be who you are here at Daystar, you got to go. I mean, you just have to leave. There's no in between. And so this is not a discussion to get at a different point. You're not going to change me, and you're not going to change her from the outcome of you submit or you leave. That's really the truth.
Not trying to.
You know what?
Not trying to change anything.
Well, I'm saying that's what we're talking about. So, given those two options, which is it?
That's what we're here to discuss.
We're
All
not
right,
discussing. We're not discussing. We're telling you.
That's what we're trying to. I'm trying to understand and come to terms with Joni with.
She's God's voice to you, related to Daystar. Whatever she says goes, without argument, without difficulty. Can you do that?
I will stand on my convictions before God. I will do the job that I've signed up to do, which was to talk about God. I believe that your marriage is outside of Daystar.
Your job is to do what she
talk about
tells
your
you.
mother and put her Instagram up. That's not talking about God.
I don't understand what you're talking
Then
about.
you put her mother's Instagram. Say, oh, y'all should follow her. She's on a worldwide on ministry now.
Oh, I didn't know that was wrong.
No, have we ever done that before? No, I don't think we've ever done that. Not even
I didn't
maybe
plan it.
on.
It just kind of like
and talked about her father for like 5 minutes and showed a clip. But we're supposed to talk about God.
He was on Mind of a Man.
I'm not doing the same.
No, that
thing.
was ministry. He was
was
a mind of a man.
No,
and
that's fine. But the putting her mother's thing up there,
That's what
which I love her mother and father. I'm just saying
the feedback-
that her argument is
If it
moot.
was,
the feedback was about your marriage.
And we talk about all the time. Viewers send in about Suzy, Jonathan, me, table talk, Rebecca, the babies, the grandchildren. We talk about all these things. So read a viewer comment about Doug that was positive. They would not submit to that. That was my decision. Doug didn't even have anything to do with it. And the day I dismissed him from the program, Doug didn't even know what was going on. Of course, he'll get blamed for everything, but he knew nothing of it. The fact
didn't
that
blame
the
him for
Lord
anything.
spoke to me about having him co-host with me because he's now my husband and because he's gifted, he has a degree in theology, and he's a godly man, and a husband and wife team is what it was, Marcus and Joni show.
We're never against
And
it.
then Marcus decided to bring the kids in for a little to give them some experience. Like, it just blew my mind that day that they refused to read. She left as soon as she saw it. They told me that she stomped off and left and said, "I'm leaving. I'm not doing this." So I mean,
I was told I had no option, so the only other option was to go.
Well, I mean, there will be a viewer comment
Yeah.
next time you are on
Right.
about Doug. So you either submit and read it, or you leave. And there's not going to be any in between. I'm not putting up with any more stuff. I'm not putting up with any more rudeness in the green room. We're either going to love everyone. I'm not going to feel the divisiveness when I'm trying to minister to the world.
Where have you been rude in the green room?
Y'all.
We're never even in the green room.
You've been rude to Doug, ignored him. Susie didn't even
No, I
speak to
haven't.
me
I
yesterday
always,
in the green
when I
room.
see him, I always like say hi or shake his hand.
No, Jonathan, you have been cold and you have been rude.
No,
you have
when?
not been Jonathan that I know.
No, when?
You have not been your father's son.
When
you
have-
have not been.
When have I?
And you, Susie, have always been so close to me and always so teachable.
No, if-
I don't even know who you are right now.
If I pass Doug, I always make a note to acknowledge him. But
No, you don't, Jonathan. You've been rude.
No, when was that? Can you give me a specific example?
Oh, I can give you example. Every time you come in his presence, you dart out. Y'all try
Come
to
in
leave
his
the room.
presence? No, I mean, you might be on the set, but I mean, I don't go out of my way.
Don't defend it. It's so apparent.
No, I'm saying that I haven't been in the green room with him.
It's so,
recently.
just like throw it to Mom and Doug, like three days in a row on the whiteboard in front of back to you,
Well,
Mom.
part of the dynamic between you guys right now is you're feeding each other. And when you said that you're the leader of the home, I don't doubt that. But you're not being a good leader. You're not being a good leader here. You're not being a good leader at home. Because what Suzy needs right now is the encouragement to submit, not the encouragement to keep wrangling. And what you need is a leader. See, as a leader, you have to be a follower. Jesus said, I do nothing unless I see my Father doing it. Jesus was a great leader because he was a great follower. You're a terrible follower right now. And you've always been great. You and your mom have always, and see, here's the point. You've always done what your mom said because you agreed with it. Now you don't agree. A follower does, when Jesus said, not my will, but yours be done in the Garden of Gethsemane, what he was saying is, every bone in my body doesn't want to do this, but I'll do what you want, not what I want. That's the only reason we have a Savior, is he did that. So right now you're saying, not your will, my will be done. You're insisting that you get what you want related to Doug. And that's not going to happen. But Jonathan, and I love you both, and I'm rooting for you. And I want you to take over Daystar one day. But if you do, I pray to God you don't get followers like you, because they'll give you hell every day. They'll make your life miserable, because I've been there. And so the only way you can build a great ministry is to have people that you know have your back and you know trust you. And it is a matter of trust. Okay. And
Well,
so,
I contend that I've been an extremely loyal and have had your back every step of the way.
You have until we disagree.
And
on
you even
that.
said the statement, I trust you with my life.
I do trust you with my
Right
life.
before Doug came into the picture.
I
difference...
have trusted you with my life with Doug in the picture. I trust you every day. I love you immensely. You
Yeah.
know that. You're wrong about Doug, and it will prove out. It's already starting to prove out. It will prove out, and one day you will say, Mom, I was wrong. I have no doubt about that. But in the interim period, there's so much damage that has been done. You have been the most loyal and faithful son. You don't have nothing to fear from me, but I am putting my foot down on this. And you either come along with me or you leave. And I don't want you to leave. He's on everything I own. He's the only child that is on every account. He could steal all my money right now if he wanted to. That's how much I trust him. If my actions don't show my trust and love for him, I mean, can you believe that? Doug signed a prenup. He knows he'll never have a position of leadership here. But is he my husband? Is he called alongside? Has he been a tremendous blessing to me? Do I go home to him at night? Does he feel a void that God knew I needed to carry the load that I'm carrying right now? Do I take it very seriously, what I do? Will I continue to take it seriously? Has Daystar grown more in the last year than at any other time in its existence? Probably because Marcus Lamb's on the other side helping us. We know that. So, I mean, but the enemy hates our family. I know that.
Yeah.
So, but they have got to come on board with me.
Yeah.
I mean, I cannot continue with this with my family. And Suzy, I love you dearly. You know that. I can get past this, but I got to have you on board with me. I can't have you against me. I can't have you against Doug. And Doug loves y'all, whether you believe it or not. He will move past all this. It's all in their core.
So we'll speak separately. You want to go first, or you want me to?
You good.
So I have spent days and days on my face before God because all I've ever known is submission. I have never been one to challenge anything. The reason you said you don't know where it turned is because I started to feel all sorts of things in my spirit where it just didn't sit right. And my form of submission is doing my little job here and going home to my kids. I don't ever question anything you do. I just stick to that. I have one boundary, whereas I won't fake something. I don't feel it's my conviction. And if on those grounds you have to fire me, then you have to do that. But I do my job. I talk about God. And I feel like that is reasonable. I'm sorry for everything that I've said that's hurt you. I've never ever wanted to take your name through the mud. Yes, there have been hurt feelings of like not listening. It really, the reason I didn't say anything to you yesterday is because I don't know how to be fake. In front of in the studio, Jonathan told me, you just like get off the stage. It's extremely. I feel very protective and love my husband, and to see him that it's hard to.
I feel very protective and love my husband. And the same
Wonderful.
lioness that you are is the same lioness that I am. And
Wonderful.
the same way I will fight.
But I don't go after
But you
your
don't
husband.
go by your
I don't
feelings.
ever say anything
You don't
to
go
him.
by your feelings. That other
I don't
time,
come for your
one
husband.
other incident in our family where she went by her feelings. She was completely convinced. And by the way, I didn't tell Doug this story. I think you said that I did, but I haven't told him everything.
Wait, what?
So
I didn't say you told Doug that.
There was an instance where
I never said you told Doug that.
There was an issue with and I'm not going to tell you that because I know they wouldn't want me to share it. But Susie was completely convinced, and Jonathan was completely convinced that was doing something that he absolutely was innocent of, and it was a terrible thing that happened in our family. But she drove that thing for a lot. It's the same thing. It's exactly the same. I didn't feel. I just felt. Oh, the Lord
No,
showed me
don't
this,
feel
that,
anything.
and it's the same. It's exactly the same, and it's chaos and confusion in our family. And so,
Susie, you said that your job was to talk about God. That's not your job. Your job is to do what she says.
Even if it goes against my convictions.
If your convictions are so strong, you need to quit.
I'm not going to quit. God has not given me permission. If I'm fired, that's fine. But
Well,
I don't have the permission from God to do it.
Yeah, and what we're saying in here today is submit or leave. And so you're saying you'll have to fire me. So she needs to know that.
I don't have permission from God to leave. I've felt uncomfortable on the show. I've been trying to process my own way.
it'll be your decision. You'll either submit
not
or
my-
you'll leave. I mean, and I will fire
This
you
is
if
submission.
you don't submit.
That's what you have to do.
Well, that's what will happen. That will be
Right.
your decision. Same thing with you,
It's
Jonathan.
not mine. My job is the Daystar is ministry to God, not talking about Doug. But if that is
Daystar
coming
is
against
not,
you,
is not your ministry. Is not
It's
your
not.
responsibility. You
It's
wouldn't
not.
have a ministry today if it weren't for Daystar.
You're right.
Nobody would know who you are.
right?
And so with that comes great responsibility.
Yep.
So a lot of things in the heart have been revealed through this process that I see. As a leader, I've been in ministry now for 40 years, just like you, 40 years. And so, you want to take that hard stance, I'll take it.
It's not about you guys in a personal sense because I love you, she loves you. We see the future because we've lived it. And when this kind of thing happens and it roots itself in a ministry, it brings destruction and division, always. And you began by saying that, what it will do with you guys, what it will do with Daystar, that you have to root it out. You have to get it out. And so the simplest answer is for you guys from your heart just to say, we submit. We'll do whatever you say. We won't make it difficult. Our job is not what you say your job is. Your job is what she says your job is. This is not your Daystar. This is her Daystar. You say it's God's Daystar, but God's given it to her. She's the steward of it.
Never once disagreed with that.
Yeah, you
ever.
do. Yeah, you do.
No.
Related to Doug, you do. And so when she said, get off the set if you can't say this, you left the set, you got mad and wrote that letter that you wrote. All of that's defiance. You're defiant toward what she is saying she wants you to do. She's the boss. She pays the paychecks. She makes the decisions. And so when Doug came in, see, submission is only a word because disagreement's a word. If there was no disagreement, you wouldn't have to submit. We just all agree. Let's go over here today. Yeah, great. We all agree. But submission is a word because we do disagree. I disagree with the mayor. I disagree with the president. I disagree with my boss. I disagree. But because there's a disagreement, authority is necessary. Okay. So what happens when authority is telling me something that violates my conscience? In other words, the government's telling me I have to participate in an abortion or a trans surgery or something like that. I graciously, with the right spirit, don't do it. Okay. Civil disobedience. I don't do it. I go to my boss and I appeal. A righteous appeal. And I say, listen, I understand you're the boss, but I appeal this. And the boss says, I appreciate your appeal, but I'm overriding it. No. You have to decide, is this the hill you want to die on? Because you will. Is this the hill you want to die on? Okay. And what I'm saying to you is, you're wrong. Sometimes you just have to have somebody on the outside speaking to you and telling you you're wrong. I love you guys to death. You're wonderful people. I adore you. You're just wrong in this. You're wrong about Doug. You're wrong about your attitude towards your mom right now. And so the simple response, the simple answer is, we're sorry, and we submit, and we won't be any more problem. And with a good attitude, we'll treat Doug right. We'll be here, do whatever you tell us to do, and go home. The other response is to say, we're convicted on a personal level that we can't do that. And so,
Convicted of what?
huh?
It's so silly.
That Doug is.
It's so silly for me to hear that. Convicted of what? They don't even know
That Doug
him.
is
They don't
wrong.
know his
That
heart. They don't.
your decision to marry Doug was wrong.
Well, Mom, I mean, you had a very strong personal conviction about marriage for many years, to where I remember you had a conversation with Kenyon at Redefined, and you were talking about how, you should never get divorced unless you had a biblical reason.
He does
He
have a
does.
biblical reason.
He does.
Babe, we can just
Okay,
get to the
I
point.
don't want to get an argument, but
He does have a biblical reason, and from a myriad of seasoned ministers. Well, this is what's funny. So the other day we had Barry Siegel on, right?
Mhm.
Well, Susie and Rebecca, they just love Derek Prince, right? Love him.
yeah.
So his first wife died. Did you know his second wife was divorced
Yes.
for abandonment? There was
Really?
no adultery.
Really.
Yeah. Barry Siegel, same thing. Married to Batya. Guess what? She was married before. Abandonment. No adultery. So you can say all you want to that he doesn't have a biblical reason, but he does. He has a biblical reason. He took his pain and used it to help thousands of people and write the books that he wrote. It's so funny because the other day I said, well, I think he told one other counselor during that period of time, but he covered for his wife because he always believed the marriage could be saved. And so I said, well, you didn't talk to anybody else like a friend. You didn't tell them about it. And he said, let me ask you a question. When you found out Marcus cheated on you, did you tell anybody? And I said, well, like my mom and dad knew and a couple other people. He said, no, I know they knew. But did you tell your close friends, Cindy or Rhonda? And I was like, no. He's like, why didn't you? I said, because I was trying to protect him. He said, same.
Yeah.
So I have now dated the man for a year, been engaged to him, and now married to him for a month. And he hasn't changed. He's godly, has integrity. That's what he's known for. And it's been the most difficult thing to watch them question his integrity and his character and his godliness by whatever lies they want to believe by the enemy. And so I'm just done. I'm done. Because I know his heart. I know him. I'm not stupid.
You've been very gracious, Joni. You've been very gracious. It has to stop today, guys.
Yeah.
It has to stop today. And whatever,
If we can do anything to repair the relationship between you and Doug, if we can develop a relationship, then I want that more than anything. And I want you to get to see what I see. I want my grandkids to have a male figure in their life. And I know that can happen. That's my hope for having this meeting today. I know we said a lot of hard stuff, but I love you guys. Like I said, yesterday I was on the treadmill because I was so angry. I was, but you can say one thing about my many years of ministry, because when I was in my 30s like them, I wouldn't have done what I did. In your 60s, you're different.
yeah.
And the fact that I waited, you asked who my accountability
What would you
is.
have done in your 30s?
Responded.
I would have screamed and fired everybody. Who knows what? I would have done a lot of damage. But Jimmy can tell you that we see through a different filter than you guys do in our 60s.
We have a lot of experience. And we've seen a lot of people and a lot of circumstances. And her responsibility is to protect her family and to protect Daystar. And that's what this is.
And my accountability, let's just talk about it. First, I'm accountable to God. You talk about reverential fear, I have that at the highest level. There has not, my mother said to me, she's so angry about all this stuff going on, because she prays for me every day. She said, I have watched you make right decisions your whole life. How dare they question you now? And Marcus would say the same thing. He used to say to me, oh my gosh, he trusted me to the highest level. Who is my accountability? God is my accountability. He will spank me good if I do something wrong. But people like Jimmy Evans will tell you that I call him, just like I called him when I started dating Doug. Like, if I'm doing something wrong, tell me. And I told you I would submit to that.
And she did. The prenup, when she called me when they were dating, I said, no, Joni, he's going to sign a prenup. And we talked about that for a long time. And she agreed. And then I talked to Doug, and I said, no, Doug, you have to sign a prenup.
You told her to sign the prenup?
Yeah.
I told, at the very beginning, we talked about a
okay.
prenup.
And he told me he wasn't going to accept him right off. He's like, my responsibility is
That's right.
to take care of you. You're like my sister. He's like my big brother. You know that. And so he said, I'm not going to just say yes with this. And so, but other people in my county, with my years of ministry.
So she's been very submitted to me in many circumstances, but in the situation with Doug, totally. And we had very difficult conversations, and she never pushed back, she never rebelled, and neither did Doug.
And there are other people in my life that I trust, that I sought their counsel, and that's what I did when I got your email, because I was mad. I knew my flesh was responding. I didn't want to respond out of emotion. And so I waited and called you and then talked to these other people. And the other people that I talked to love my kids, but they're just like...
Can you tell me who they are? I'm just curious.
Huh?
Can you tell me who it is?
He's going to ask them first.
Oh, you have to ask them. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Let me ask. Well, I can tell you Sean Bowles has been very...
Sean Bowles is the prophetic one?
Yeah, been very encouraging to me about the whole thing. And there are other prophetic people. Chris Reed has been very encouraging to me. Nate Johnson has been very encouraged to me. Billy Burke, totally. I mean, these are all prophetic people that we trust. And so I just want y'all to have a relationship with Doug and to know him like I know him, and to be around him, and to let go of all this other stuff and to trust me. That's all I want. I don't want to have to be the bad guy. I don't. But I will.
I think on a personal note, he's married to you. I wanted time to just let it happen naturally. I wasn't pushing anything. When it comes to Daystar, I just wanted to do my little job, serve God in that way, and go home to my kids.
If you respect and honor me, and you respect and honor him,
But reading feedback is not that, though, to me. That's like...
No, reading feedback and somebody saying something nice is nothing in light of everything we've talked about. And, we got to get past that.
I mean, that's not like asking us to say that we support this marriage. We've been wanting to be in support of it. Like, it's not asking us to lie.
You have to support the marriage now. We're married. You have to support it. You can't say, I'm sorry, I don't support your marriage, Mom. That doesn't work here, does it?
No.
It just doesn't work.
Well, I mean...
You can do that on a personal level, but you can't import that into this ministry.
We don't. That's the thing. They do the show.
Yeah, I haven't. Like, I haven't publicly said like what I said. I've kept my feelings to you in a letter. Like I wrote to you.
Y'all have talked to other people. You've talked to other people.
We've only talked to friends.
Close ones that we trust for prayer.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you're talking to. You're in disagreement. You do not agree with Doug being her husband, and
He is our husband.
what you're not saying is as damaging as what you're saying, because you didn't read that comment.
I'm not going to fake a personal relationship. It has to happen naturally.
Well, you're telling her what has to happen. No,
I'm telling you
she's the boss.
I'm
She
telling
tells
you
what
my
has to
boundary,
happen.
and
She
you make
tells
your
you-
decision from there.
I'm saying to you, Suzy, very simply, if you can't do what she wants, you have to go. It can't be both ways.
I didn't ask it to be both ways.
But what you're saying is, you're saying, at Daystar, I'm going to do my job and go home, and I don't want to be told anything other than that. Well, that's not how it works. Your job is to please her. When she has a smile on her face, you did your job. Your job is not to come and talk about God and go home. Your job is to come and please the boss and go home. So she's not pleased. She's not happy. So it just can't keep going on like this. It's been too hard. And again, she asked me the other day on the phone, she said, do you think I'm overreacting or being too hard or whatever? And I said, Joni, you have been incredibly gracious with your children through this whole situation, but this has to stop. I've tried to be gracious with you. And all I'm saying is, it's got to stop. It's got to stop right now. This cannot continue for your own good, for your children's good, because you're all torn up about it. And so Daystar Network is going to go forward with her at the helm. And you're either with her or you're not. And when I say with her, I mean 100%. I'm not saying 99%. And I'm not saying that you sit and don't talk about Doug or whatever. You've got to talk to Doug. You've got to talk about Doug. You've got to read whatever she wants you to read on the air. And if that's something you can't do, I respect you if you leave, but not if you stay. I want you to stay and submit. But if you can't, it's a simple decision. And she will fire you. I'm just telling you, she will.
I came prepared for anything. I just have to be honest, and then the decision's in your hands.
Yeah.
That's that.
Yeah.
Simple,
But
simple.
the ball's not in my court, it's in your court. It's
How?
in your court.
I just, like I said,
You submit to my authority or you don't.
Yeah,
And
like
that's-
whatever I say to read, if I'm not comfortable, then I have to stick with my convictions.
Well, whatever you read, if you don't agree with the viewer's comment, it's not your right to agree or disagree with it. If a viewer has a comment about me or you or anybody else, it's a nice comment, that's a good thing to read it. That's not a bad thing to have anything to do with you. You're reading a viewer comment. That's
I'm
what
representing it. It's a lie.
You're not
It's
representing
real.
it. It's
I'm
not a
reading
lie.
it out.
It's
I'm
not a
reading
lie.
it.
It's not a lie.
It's a lie if I say something
It's
that
not,
I don't
it has
believe.
nothing to do with you.
If
So
I
you
say
don't
something,
believe
I don't
Doug's
believe
a
it.
good man.
It has
I'm not gonna just
It
read
has
fluff.
nothing to do with you. It is a viewer comment. It's not a Susie comment. It's a viewer comment.
I can't go against my convictions in that, and I'm
Well, then
not
don't
challenging.
come back then.
Okay.
You're gone. You're
Okay.
fired.
That's
If
right.
you can't read a nice comment about Doug, I don't want you here.
Yeah.
You won't do the green room. You won't do anything.
Okay.
Okay.
What about you, John?
I'm just going to seek the Lord and I'm going to pray. I love you and respect
There's got to
you.
be a heart change, and you see, there's not.
Yeah.
No, I definitely.
And I knew if there wasn't a heart change, then nothing would change. Until the heart changes.
Yeah. I think you guys have got yourself in a position to what you are going to down this hill. This is the hill you're going to down. I think that's the
I'm
choice.
just doing what
I just said I'm
Yeah.
gonna. I'm not saying I'm not or I'm yes or no. I'm just saying I'm just gonna pray. You'll know if I read a comment or not. Like if I'm gonna apply. If I'm going. If
Well,
if I come on and I say I'm not gonna read the comment, then you'll know my decision.
No,
So-
that's not what's going to happen. That you're not getting back on the set until she knows that you're submitted. It's not a matter of you doing what you want to do when you want to do it. It's a matter of her knowing today that you're submitted to her and that you trust her and you're willing to do what she says. And if she may give you longer than that. She may give you till tomorrow or whatever. But all I'm saying is, this is not a religious process of you going home and praying. This is a process, a very practical process of you telling your boss whether you're behind her or not, whether you'll submit to her or not. Now you're spiritualizing all of this, and all of the scriptures behind her, not behind you. She's the authority. She's your mother. Either way. And so in your next job, if you leave this job and you go to your next job, trust me, whatever boss you have, you're going to disagree with 18 times more than you ever have her. And you're going to have to submit or they're going to fire you again. And so in the real world, because you've lived in a bubble, Daystar is a bubble. It is a wonderful spiritual place to work, and you've lived in a bubble. In the real world, this crap doesn't fly. And you can't defy your boss and get away with it the way you have her. She's been incredibly gracious with you, but it's all over. And so as far as I'm concerned, no response today is the bad response. And I'm not saying on her behalf, I'm saying on my behalf. If you can't submit today, it is a spirit, and it is going to continue. And it can't continue. It has to be over, Jonathan. Either you submit or you don't. Now, Susie's saying no. Your wife is saying no.
I didn't say I would not submit. To me, submission is doing the job that is ministry and not having to fake a relationship
You're
with
telling
Doug.
the boss what your job is. You can't do that.
Faking a relationship with Doug is part of the Daystar job. That's not.
Reading a comment about Doug is a part of the job.
I cannot go against my convictions.
No, you listen. You said no. I respect that. But then I look at you, Jonathan, and I say, what about you? Because your wife said no. And you're saying you want to pray about it. There's been a lot of prayer. There's been a lot of conversations. It's time to make a decision.
Well, we just had this meeting today, so I think it's fair to be able to give
No,
you
I
time
think
to
you need to
process
tell
things.
me now. You either submit or you don't. You either submit or you don't. I'm not playing the game any longer. I'm not letting you go home and pray about it and think about it. Susie's made her decision. Now you make your decision.
I haven't had. You didn't give me
I'm not giving.
any foreknowledge of this meeting of, like I have to make a decision.
She doesn't have to. You always put the burden on her. The burden's on you. You're the employee. She's the employer. The burden's on you. And you have to make a decision.
So off the show or just off vice president, like he's losing his job? Like we have to clarify that.
Oh, submission is for all those things, Susie.
I'm just
It's not
asking.
just for on the show.
You said you might have to take some time off the show before in the meeting, so I'm clarifying that for Jonathan.
I said, though there are consequences to this kind of rebellion. So I think we've been through that. So either you say, yes, Mom, I'm submitted to you. I may not agree with you on anything, but I'm submitted to you. Or you say you're not. It's one or the other.
Just give me 24 hours to pray about it. That's all I ask, kindly, so respectfully.
I'm not going to give you 24 hours. You give me an answer now. You either submitted to me or you're not.
I'm submitted to you in every aspect. The only aspect where there is some consternation in my spirit is having to read something that praises your marriage in front of our live, worldwide studio audience. That's the only thing. There's been nothing else that I've been difficult about. I've submitted you. I've been an incredible son. I've been an incredible employee. I haven't had any problems with you or leadership. It's just with this error, this marriage, there's just been
First off, this is a viewer comment. So the fact that you're using that as the catalyst as to why you can't, do that really speaks to a much deeper issue in your heart. That's just an excuse, right?
That's right.
Well, the deeper issue is just feeling unwell in my spirit about the marriage. That's all it is.
Well,
it's nothing against you.
You have made your opinion an idol because everyone else disagrees with you.
Who's everyone else?
Everyone else just.
Oh, you too, of course, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of others.
But
Jonathan, you continue to disrespect me in the sense that I've been doing this since before you were born. I have dozens and dozens of Doug stories that I could tell you, horrible situations that I've seen people come out of. And I'm saying, I know abuse when I see it. I know a situation like that. I am a marriage guy. I've given my entire life, adult life, to helping marriages. I'm not a divorce guy. I'm a marriage guy. I help people get married and stay married. The only time that I can shift over is when I know there's something that's damaging a person. So in my expertise, I talked to Doug a number of times. I talked to her and I told her, I'm not for Doug, I'm not against Doug. I just don't want you to get in any situation that God won't bless. And so I started having conversations with Doug. Doug never badmouthed his wife to me. He never said anything bad about her. I talked to him about him. And he started telling me when he was saying things, it was consistent with 41 years of experience of people that I've talked to exactly in his situation. And I respected the fact that he never tried to trash Lisa to me. I talked to him about signing a prenup. Absolutely. I've got my own money. I don't need Joni's money. I talked to him about not being in leadership at Daystar. He said, I'm about to retire. I don't want another job. I don't need that. Blah, blah, blah. Every time I pushed a button, okay, and I pushed a lot of them, gracious, godly, righteous, prayed about it. The Lord spoke to me, talked to Joni, went through the whole process. That doesn't mean anything to you guys. You treat me like I'm just like you, or that really I'm less than you because I don't understand, because Doug knows how to talk to me and pull the wool over my eyes. I'm saying to you, I have her and me together. First of all, she just outranks you, period. That's a simple issue. But secondly, you've got 80 years of experience sitting right here talking to you. It's a spirit, Jonathan. It's a spirit. That you won't listen, not just to authority, but to experience. I know more than you know about marriage. I know more than you'll ever know about marriage. Okay? That's who I am. That's who God made me to be. And I'm sitting here trying to help you and your family through this situation, and you've disrespected me the whole time in the sense that you've rejected everything I had to say. So I'm sitting here today, and I'm hoping for a good outcome. But there will be an outcome here today. And that outcome will be that you respect her, that you trust her, because you'll have to trust her. She's your boss. Or that you don't. Now, whether you respect me or not, that's just a personal issue. But you have disrespected me in that sense.
I disagree, sir.
Yeah. And so...
I feel like I've been very patient to listen to you this whole time.
Well, you listened and rejected everything I had to say. To this day, you don't agree with that.
His opinion is an idol. He has made his opinion an idol, and the stubbornness that's attached to that.
Yeah.
And what God has gifted him with, the enemy's now using against him.
Yeah.
And they're both completely deceived.
Do you believe, Jonathan, that you're kind of representing your dad in all this?
Do I believe I'm representing my dad? I'm representing Jonathan Lamb. I'm carrying on his legacy, but
Do you believe your dad would be pleased that your mom's married to Doug?
I believe my dad would have wanted me to look out. The Bible says a watchman sees trouble coming and he sounds the alarm to save him. And if he doesn't, then he'll fall into the trap. I feel like I'm sounding the alarm with all these red flags that we see and that many others see.
There's not any red flags.
Well, Jonathan, as a pastor, some of the greatest damage that was ever done to me was by people who called themselves my watchmen. And God, there's no position of watchman in God's church. That was Old Testament. Those were Old Testament prophets. In the New Testament, there's no such thing as a watchman. And in Daystar, you're not the watchman. And in the family, you're not the watchman.
Well, I'm her covering. I'm the only one.
You're not her covering.
You're not my covering.
Well, I mean, when Dad passed, you said I was your covering.
But she got married.
You were called alongside me to help.
But you called me your covering.
You were a protective covering as far as personal things he was helping me with, like finances,
Yes, but
etc.
also to be someone to
But
look out for you.
You were never the covering of Daystar. I was your covering at Daystar. And your dad
No, but
would
it's
be so pleased. He wanted me to get married more than anyone. He told me a million times, anything ever happens to me.
But as
you
far
get
as
married. And he loved Doug too, as well.
But as far as your
Well,
relationship,
I'm trying to figure
sorry,
out
can I speak?
why you're so
Can I
stubborn.
finish?
No,
Jimmy?
No, I'm going to talk.
I didn't get to respond to
Hang on
her.
a minute. Is that I keep trying to wonder why you're so stubborn and why you argue so much. And I'm wondering if maybe you feel like you're being loyal to your dad.
Okay, I was just responding to her. So basically,
Wait a minute. Don't ignore what I just
You
said.
being you loyal to your dad or God?
I'm asking you why you're being so stubborn.
I'm loyal to God. That's
What'd you say?
I'm loyal to God above all. Like
Loyal to God. Okay.
Well, God wouldn't be pleased with this at
No,
all.
God's not
God's
pleased.
not pleased. And you've opened up yourself, both of you, to demonic activity in your family and with your kids by your rebellion against me.
I don't see it
I
as
don't.
rebellion.
I don't. It's not rebellion.
It
We're
is, it is
just-
rebellion.
Yeah, you're in
and
rebellion.
Submitted
it
in
will,
every way.
It will be recognized. I mean, you'll bring a curse upon you and your kids.
You guys keep trying to teach us, and you're just not going to.
I'm not teaching you. We're telling you.
Yeah, you're just telling. You're trying to tell me
we're
what
expressing
reality
what I
is. I'm
feel.
just saying
No,
you don't
you
know.
pastored for 41 years and worked with marriages. I don't think so. You have about,
I have not.
You have about a thumbnail of experience compared
But
to him
you
and
act
me.
like you do.
Right.
But you act
do
like
act.
you
You're
do.
very prideful. You're being very prideful right now.
How is it prideful? I'm just sitting here and listening. I don't
You're
even
sitting
understand.
with
But it is, Susie. It really is. Related to this situation with Doug. If you take Doug out of the equation, you guys are wonderful. I love you. Never had a negative interaction with you. Related to Doug, you guys, this has brought out the worst in you. And it's revealed something about your hearts.
It has.
And what it's revealed about your hearts is, if you don't agree, you won't do it. And the reason you've done it so far is you agree. But now that you don't agree, and when Joni was talking about this situation, whatever, you're fallible. And that's why you need authority. You're
Why
disciplined.
do you think I gave it to God? I walked away from
But
anything.
we're not talking about God. We're talking about authority.
I gave it to them. Exactly. Authority, Marcus and Joni. And I let it go completely.
What
Didn't
about Joni?
stand on.
What about Joni and Doug?
What about. They're married. We come do the show. I'm not like, I'm not going to be part of the show.
The same spirit of submission, you give it to them, you won't?
That's my point. That's since day one. I
So
come,
you
do
will,
my little bit, and I
You will
leave.
come and read a comment about that?
That's the conviction. That I'm not going to just fake a relationship that's not there. I'm just going to be authentic to myself.
Well, then
If
go
it's
out
that's
and lunch
viable,
with him.
so
Just
be
have
it.
a relationship with him. Build a relationship. But you're hiding behind all this religious talk because
It's not religious.
It's religious
Very
talk.
religious.
When
very
you
carnal.
won't
It's
when
very
you
immature.
won't read this comment about Doug on the air, it says everything.
It says everything. It reveals the heart, and that is what.
But no one.
That's the revealing that has taken place. I would have never seen this in these two had Doug not come into the picture, and now I do, and I feel like God wanted me to see it for the future, and so it's disheartening because I love them both so much. I've been nothing but good to them
Yeah.
their whole life. I mean, I birthed this child here, so.
Well, again, in the real world, you guys wouldn't get this kind of treatment.
Marcus would have fired them both by now. He would not have put up with it for a second. He would have said, leave. He told the kids before. He told me before. He said, don't you dare let them get away with disrespect, da-da-da-da-da. He would tell me all the time. He'd say, I will fire them in a second. So I have always been a little bit more long-suffering and grace-filled, but I'm done. So I just need to know, are you going to submit and respect my authority and let's move forward? Or are you gonna leave? Which is it?
I'm not leaving, but I told you I will.
You will leave if you don't submit to me.
I just said I will. Yes, I will submit to your authority, but if there's something that passes a personal...
I can't have a but. Dr. Phil says that
if
there's a but in the sentence, you disqualify everything that you said before. All I need to hear is that you'll submit to me.
I would just ask that you would respect the personal conviction that I have, and...
That's not a personal conviction. I'm not
Jonathan,
asking...
it's a personal conviction related to her marriage. It's not a personal conviction about where she gets her nails.
I've been very respectful. I haven't.
No, he hasn't.
No, you have not.
You have not been respectful.
No, I mean
you have been disrespectful. You've been rude, and you've been condescending. You've been prideful. You've been arrogant.
No, I haven't.
You've been unteachable.
Yeah,
you've
you
been
have.
stubborn. You've been all of those adjectives.
I've been very patient and calm.
Jonathan, you have not been very patient. I'm just saying, I would just say, is cutting to the chase. It's not going to work, and you have been given the opportunity to say, I submit and stay, and you won't. That's what you just said.
No, I didn't say I won't. I'm
Yes,
just
you
saying
did.
I need to pray about it.
No, you're saying you won't.
No, sir.
Yes, you did. You said, I just wish you would respect my personal conviction. We're in this room talking because your personal conviction
Well, that would
read
be
that.
would be my preference. I mean, if you had a very strong conviction about
All
something,
I want to hear is that you'll submit to my authority. That's all. I don't want to hear anything else. I don't want to hear about your personal convictions. I have never asked you to do anything that was outrageous. I have not made a decision since I took over the leadership of Daystar that was outrageous, that wasn't in line. You can ask Arnold. He has said that together we have led with excellence in every decision that's been made. It's not like I'm going to fall off the wagon and make a bad decision to marry a stupid guy that's somehow controlling me. That will never happen, has never happened, and will not happen. So you either trust me in the many years of experience that you've worked with me, or you don't. And that's what I need to know. Yes, Mom, I'll submit to you. That's all I need to hear.
I just need to pray about it. That's all. I mean, I'm just asking. Give me
That's a no.
24 hours.
That's a no.
It's not a no.
That's a no. That's a no.
It's not a no.
It's a no.
No, it's not.
It's a no. Jonathan, you have this
it's
thing.
It's a no.
No, it's not.
It's
Yes,
a
it
no.
is. It is.
I submit to you.
You're saying on my terms.
Okay, that's all I want to hear. That's all I want to hear is I submit to you, Mom, and we'll move forward. And you can trust me.
And you can't read a comment about Doug, and you know that.
I'm sorry.
You cannot read a comment about Doug, and you know that. If tomorrow you were on Ministry Now and you had to read a comment about Doug, would you? The same comment you didn't read?
Oh, if I had to submit to her, then absolutely.
That's what he just said. I submit to you, Mom.
So you would read a comment. The comment y'all wouldn't read, you would now read.
I mean,
That's what he's saying.
Just
So now you're in trouble with her.
So now you're
why are you in trouble? What,
I'm not-
you're making me some bad guy.
I'm not in
Said
trouble
you
with her.
can
I'm
be.
just.
Yeah,
She said
just
no,
speak
you
your
are
mind.
bad.
I'm
you
telling.
are bad, Susie. You've got him by the balls, and you know it. And
Wow,
that's
babe.
exactly what
Babe,
you
they're
do.
really scary. They think horrible
No,
things.
no, that's not
I've
the
got
case.
you by the
at all.
balls.
And other people
Who
see it. You
talks
see it in
like
your eyes
this?
right now, and you look at him like
Who
you gave him a
talks?
look.
I gave him a look of pity. Like I'm trying to. You're cornering him. This is so evil. What is happening?
No, what's evil
And
is
you're
you.
telling me that I've
What's
got him
evil
by the
is you and the
balls.
spirit
So-
that's driving you, and the things you've done, the things you
Horrible.
said, the things you've written, the people that you've talked to, the people who've told me things you said that are disgusting.
Like what?
That is what evil.
Like what?
You know, Susie.
What? I don't.
You
Tell me.
know. Oh, please, don't even try it.
What are
okay?
this?
Just
What are?
don't.
Can you tell me what those things are?
No, I'm not, because you know what they are.
I have
I
no
don't.
idea.
Jimmy, you were there in the meeting with the children. You heard what all she said. You
Yeah.
told me what
Tell
she
me
said.
some of the things.
We don't.
Well,
Why do we have to repeat what you said? You know what you said.
Susie, the thing is,
Everything I
the
said
whole-
in good
the
conscience.
whole
So I don't know
conversation-
what's disgusting.
The whole conversation gets down to you're not submitted. Now, and you've admitted it, so I'm good with you. You've admitted you won't. Okay. Now it's down to you, and you won't. You always come back to the qualification of the personal conviction. And so I said, if you're on TV tomorrow, if you're on ministry now, and you were asked
I can't
to
even
read,
look at you.
Okay.
See, and that's the enemy right there. I can't even
That's
look
not-
at you.
Because now it's
Oh,
a
yes,
bolt.
it is. Yes, it
Because
is.
they say I got you. Oh, it's so crazy.
But the point being, whatever she says moving forward is God. Okay, God, she's my boss. Whatever you say, I'll do. It is. She is God's authority in this place, and your job is to do what she says, not your way, but her way, until she's pleased. And she is saying, Doug, her husband, there are going to be times. First of all, she wants you to be kind to him and respectful, in the way that pleases her. She wants you to be able to read a comment or whatever else comes up in the course of your duties at Daystar. And you're saying you can do that now.
Whatever, if it's assigned for me to read a comment, then as it stands now, I mean, I'm not going to do something that's, if it's something that's going against a, if it's like, if you had to read a comment saying people should get the job, obviously you're not going to do it, right?
You know what the comment is. There will be a positive comment, because we've gotten many from viewers, and I'm sure I'll have it on there to read on viewer feedback. It's not going to be ridiculous, not going to be something that's outrageous. I would never ask anybody to do
But Jonathan,
anything.
it just doesn't matter if you agree with it. That's not even an issue. And if you have to agree with it, you're not submitted. You're never going to be asked to do anything at Daystar that's a sin. I can promise you that. It's just going to be.
Well, not a sin, but like the job. I mean, a lot of people are for it, a lot of people are against it. You have a very strong personal conviction that's
We're not
bad.
talking about the job.
I know, but that's an example of where it's not.
I just need
People
to,
have
I
differences
just need
But
to
if
know
it
you're
had to do
submitted
with the
to me.
vaccine, then you do whatever she says, whether your personal.
Right, which we're in lockstep agreement on. But I'm just saying that there's other people in the Christian community that would say it would be a good thing to have gotten the job.
But you work for her.
Right. But I'm just saying that.
I just need to know you're submitted, and that's it. That you're submitted to my leadership. If you're asked to read a nice comment about Doug, that you're submitted to that. Obviously, I'm not going to ask you to read a nice comment about Doug every day, but if the one comes up, that you're submitted to that. Just like today, Jonathan Weiss read something. There was something that was said that on viewer there was something that said about Doug that was nice. I don't remember what it was, and he read it. So that's all I'm saying.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I would read most comments that were coming my way. If there was just something that really, if I prayed about it and I felt unwell in my spirit, then I would respectfully say, Mom, I don't feel comfortable reading this. I will recluse myself from the show.
I'm not going to do that, because that still reveals a deeper heart.
But I also would ask respectfully that you would not try to force, if I felt uncomfortable about something, try to force it to.
All the people that I've talked to about that specific comment, I read the comment, and they said there was nothing wrong with the viewer comment that said something nice about Doug. So,
Jonathan, let me just tell you the right answer. Okay? Just kind of help you out. The right answer is, I'll do whatever you say. You're my boss. That's the answer. I'll do whatever you say. You keep qualifying it because you're not submitted. You're not submitted.
I am submitted, but obviously.
I'm submitted, but you're not submitted, Jonathan. If you were submitted, you would talk like you're submitted and act like you're submitted. You're not submitted. I'm telling you, I know the difference. And I was telling you about the eldership that I worked for. 30 years. Never had a problem with the elders, because I said to them, you're God's voice to me. Okay? Well, as a group, not individually, but as a group, we came together, and whatever decision we made together, that was God's voice to me. Between meetings, I was the boss. Okay? But in those meetings, they were the boss. Okay? Somebody has to be God's voice to you. Okay? That's her. Whoever your boss is. Now, if you went to work for the post office, your boss is still your boss. You have to do what they say. It may not be God's voice to you, but they're God's voice to you as it relates to your employment. In this situation, spiritually, you work for Daystar, and that's also your employment. That's your covering. She's God's voice to you. You're not her covering. Okay? And so...
Well, I mean, God has his own voice to me, too.
Individually, yeah, about the decisions that you and Susie make and all those, about your children, absolutely. You have your own relationship over here. But here, when you walk into Daystar, she's your covering. She's God's voice to you.
Just like Marcus was the covering.
That's right.
Before.
And you can't come in and say, well, I've been praying over here. Susie and I have been praying over here, and we don't agree with that. So we're going to import this private decision into Daystar and force it from the bottom up. When you walk in this door, you have to submit to her. And if you can't come back. That's what she's saying. And I'm saying to you, you're not submitted, Jonathan. You're not submitted. And part of it has to do with the conflict between you guys.
Do we have any conflict?
Well, you are now.
They think I have you by the balls,
No.
babe.
No, if you sit there and say you're submitted and you go home tonight and she's not, now you got another set of problems.
No. You are the leader for home. I follow your lead. You make your decision, babe.
So you have no problem.
As you always have.
You have no problem if he comes and reads a good comment about
Why?
that.
I told him to read the card. I walked out of there before I knew what he was going to do.
Yeah.
I
You
have
walked
never
out.
told
You
him.
walked out.
She walked on her own. And
Because Delisha said I had no option.
And then he didn't read it.
Well,
I don't know what he did. I didn't even know what happened until he told me later.
Yeah.
I didn't say, come with me. Ew.
Well, then you have a house divided one way or the other.
No,
Nope.
you don't.
Our house is at
Right.
peace. I stand to my convictions, and I'm under his leadership.
Right. So you submit to her, and you go home, whatever happens at home, and then you come in here, and you're submitted. That's the right answer. Is that what you're saying?
yes, sir. I mean, again, if I'm submitted, like I've never been not submitted to you.
Yeah.
That's all I want to hear is that you're submitted to me. That's it.
You have not been submitted to her, Jonathan.
You have not been
That's why
submitted.
we're in this room right
That's why
now.
we're here.
But my point is, I love you, and I'm led by the Lord, and if
You're led by her.
but I'm led by the Lord first.
Well, so if your leading of the Lord is telling you you can't submit to everything she says, then you have a personal conflict, like Susie was saying. You're saying you're led by the Lord. In Daystar, can you imagine all these employees showing up every day and saying, well, I appreciate what you're saying, but we're led by the Lord, and we'll need to pray about that before we do it. Hey, get out of here. We're taking paycheck.
But that's true. But I wouldn't ask an employee to do something that's against their conviction if they felt really
you do it
strongly.
all the time.
Like what?
You think they want to work every time you tell them to work? You think that all your employees want to do exactly what you tell them to do?
No. I'm talking about something that would be, if you had a conviction that it might be wrong in front of, like, under God's eyes.
Well, I think it would be wrong to ask them to sin. But
But this is not a sin, and it's just like this pastor said, there were times when he was under authority that he didn't agree,
That's right.
but he submitted, and the Lord blessed him for that.
Yeah.
Because God works in straight lines.
Yeah.
And if you have one
And
out
see,
here-
that's where I think that, that makes sense. Obviously, I don't want to do anything that would be
Well, you have been. And that's what we're telling you
considered
right now.
witchcraft, but at the same time,
It is rebellion. It's a sin of witchcraft.
I-
It is stubbornness. It is idolatry. It is all those things. You know that you can trust me. You know that you can. I have proven it over the years. And so either you trust me and you submit or you don't. And that's it. I just need to, that's all I need to know. You tell me you submit, I've submitted to you, Mom, and I'm fine.
If the Lord came down to you and just said, Joni, I don't think this relationship is right with Doug, would you submit to the Lord?
Absolutely. 100%. I mean, you don't even know all the stuff that's happened.
Because I remember you framed that question to Reverend Piazza, and he struggled with being able to answer that.
Oh, I don't struggle.
But you're good.
at all.
Okay, that makes me feel good.
I promise
Because
you, 100%.
if you had said you're 100% resolute that God
No.
would never do that,
Listen,
because you realize that
I took this
you could potentially be wrong,
decision.
right?
I took this
you look
decision
at
very
someone
I
like
mean, she could be wrong about marrying Doug.
potentially. I mean, you look
so
at
in other words, she could have made a mistake.
potentially. I mean, you look at someone like Catherine Kuhlman, the most anointed woman of God, and she said the greatest mistake of her life.
myself to Catherine Kuhlman, but let's just
But I'm just saying that the greatest regret of her life was her marriage, and
Jesus
fell apart.
appeared to me right now and said, "You have made a terrible mistake. I want you to get out of this marriage." Of course, I would do what Jesus said. But I'm just saying, before I ever did the marriage, I asked those questions.
But you're just gnawing on the same bone over and over and over related to Doug. Because you.
Well, but that's what it's all about, right? I mean,
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
that's the whole point.
And you're saying to her, you're asking her a theoretical question, a rhetorical question, and you're saying, so if the Lord came down and told you you had made a mistake related to Doug, would you get out of it? Why are you even saying that? I don't even understand.
Well, just to see
that.
your heart posture. I mean, you asked that.
Her heart posture. I'm saying she's been submitted through the whole process. She's been submitted to me and other people. Her and Doug were completely submitted to me. You haven't been, and that's why we're in this room right now.
No, I have. I mean, obviously,
But you're not her heart surgeon, and you're not her spiritual heart surgeon.
No.
And you continue to put everything back on her, rather than taking your responsibility. I'm saying she's done everything she should have done, plus a lot. She's been very compassionate and very gracious through this whole situation with the family. And I'm saying the burden's on you, Jonathan. You're not going to put it back on her, not while I'm here. You keep putting the burden back on her. Would you, if God came and said you made a mistake, would you do something? Why are you even asking her a question like that? If God came to you right now, and He is, and saying you made a mistake, would you correct it? And that's exactly what's happening in this.
of course, without question.
Well, but you're not. You
No, but God didn't appear. He didn't speak that to me.
God has spoke to you.
Yeah, He has
He spoke to you through me. He spoke to you through Jimmy.
You're not God.
Well, we're God's representative.
We're God's representative.
Yeah, but you're not speaking.
But see, exactly.
Like
Jonathan.
you're not.
Exactly. And all I'm saying is, you're giving an honest answer right now. And all you're saying is, hell no. I'm not saying
No, I'm not. I'm not
yes,
saying
you
that.
are. That's
No.
what you're saying.
That's not true.
You're just not saying it that clearly. You're saying no.
No, I just said, dude, I would.
If you just said yes, I'd be home by now. You know? You keep saying no.
We can end this now. And again, like I said, I mean,
I'll submit unless the Lord speaks to me and unless there's something that violates me. You're submitted or you're not.
as of right now, I'm submitted.
As of right now.
I mean, there's no,
You're not submitted,
there's nothing I've done that has caused me to not be in submission.
There's nothing I've done that's caused me not to be in submission. Is that what you said?
Right.
You're not submitted, Jonathan. That's why we're in this room. You refuse to read that about Doug in here. And nothing's changed. Since the beginning of this meeting, nothing's changed. We're still talking, you're still wrangling.
I'm not wrangling. I'm just saying.
What are you saying?
I'm saying. Well, like I said, I mean, I'm submitted to you, and I mean, I'll leave it at that. I mean,
Okay.
Are you good with that?
I'm good with it.
Okay. I'll hold you accountable to that.
And if you're not
Jimmy?
submitted, then you can just get your
Jimmy,
stuff
can I
and
say
go.
something?
Or you can say you are submitted.
all right,
Either way, it's in your court.
all right.
But if you're not willing to submit, you just need to get your stuff and don't come back.
All right, so I'll say it again. I've always been fully submitted. The only thing I wasn't going to do was read things
I don't want
that
to hear
are not
about
true.
that. I want to hear either you're submitted or you're not. If you're submitted, we can work through this.
So you submission is just whatever you put in, whatever card you put in my hand, whatever it says, I have to read
Yeah.
it, and that's the job.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the job I submitted to here at Daystar is ministry to serve God, not about Doug. So in that case, I won't have. I will stand my convictions to be here for God, and not about Doug.
Okay, well, you're not called to be here for God. You're
Okay.
not called to even say those things that you're saying. You're called here to serve.
Okay.
And
That is me serving God.
If you don't want to serve and submit to me, then you don't need to come back.
Okay.
Okay? And that's your choice. I gave you the choice.
I never will quit. I would never, because I don't have permission from God. But if I'm being fired, so be it.
Can I say something?
Of course.
Jimmy, I love you. Mom, I love you.
I love you too.
Love you too.
Very much.
Of course, I love you.
Of course.
But that's all in things.
Okay. All right, well, I'll let y'all go.
All
All
right.
right. Ready?
All right. Thank you.
Can I have a buddy good? How you?
Bye.
I feel like I'm sweating.
Oh yeah, so if you could just let me know the pastor you spoke to.
The what now?
Or you'll check.
I'll have to ask for.
Did you say that Sean Bowles was the prophetic?
I didn't say that.
Oh, you're not confirming that.
He is one of the people.
Oh, so, but that's not the prophetic one you spoke to?
He's one of the ones I talked to. He's not the one that said that thing.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You can trust me. Either you do or not, you're going to catch hell now, so get ready for it.
No, we're
No, you are. But now God will see if you're a true leader or not. Now be one. Be one.
I'm not. We're completely
Jonathan,
great.
be a leader right now. This is your draw the line in the sand. So you said the right thing, and you're going to pay hell for it. But stand your ground. That's all I'm saying. Listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. You won't regret it. You won't regret submitting to me.
I love you, Mom.
I love you too, honey. I love you very much. And things are going to get better, especially between you and Doug. You handle that one. You handle it.
Mom, she is.
No, I'm just.
We're on the same page. Is like.
No, you're going to catch hell. So get ready for it. You are about to catch hell. So you handle her. You're her covering. Handle her. It's all redeemable. We can fix it, but it's going to be a rough patch. So get ready for that. Okay. Thank you.
What's the after meeting? Is there an after? Is there a? You want to post?
Yeah, I'm
huddle?
going to talk to him and tell you about that to come up and talk with us.
Okay. Do you want me?
I didn't want
Do you want me? Do you want me to be involved in it, or?
No, not unless you want to say to Doug you're sorry for the way that.
Well, I mean, I have no like. I want to clarify that at no point have I tried to be disrespectful to Doug or ignore him. Like, I feel like
if you want to,
we just haven't really crossed paths.
If you want to stay and say you apologize and that you're going to submit to my authority, that would be great for him to hear. That's up to you, but I don't want to hear all that other crap. I just told him to get ready because he's going to catch hell. And he's either going to be a leader now or not, because he's going to catch hell for what he just did.
Yep.
Is it true?
Yep.
And so either he is the leader that God's called him to be, but this is going to be his Alamo.
Yeah.
So he's going to handle it and handle her or not. But I can tell him, I told him this will probably decide your leadership role here at Daystar, how you deal with that.
This is why it has to stop, Jonathan. It's just, it's a dead end. And you're at that dead end. And this is how it ends. And so with Suzy, be a leader, go home, tell her how it's going to be, and she'll get through it, and you'll lead her through
She'll
it.
get mad and scream and shout, but she'll get through it.
Yeah.
And I'll redeem my relationship with her. I promise you that. You can trust my leadership, and you can trust me. You know me. You know my heart. She's wrong about this, just like she was wrong about. She's wrong about this. She's wrong about Doug. You're wrong about Doug, and you're going to see that. I promise you're going to see it. I am not a novice. I've been doing this for a long time. He is not fooling me. He is not manipulating me. He's not none of that stuff. He has been amazing to me, and I am so happy. And you should be happy for
Well,
that.
I'm happy you're happy.
And he loves you.
I'm happy you're
Like,
happy.
Listen to me. He loves you. He loves my family. He took all of
But
your
Mom, I'm happy you're happy, but but you know how strong you are when it comes to personal convictions. I mean, didn't you decide not to have on Lisa Turkhurst because she had gotten divorced? I know you switched roles because you've changed your stance on.
No. I didn't change my stance. I found out that Denise was not honest about everything concerning that, and Lisa Turkhurst went through hell with her husband, and I was influenced by Denise in it.
So she had like a.
And she broke confidentiality as a counselor, which she never should have done.
So Lisa Turkhurst had like, what do you call it? Abuse, I guess.
I think her husband was a serial adulterer.
No.
That's clear biblical grounds, yeah.
Well, it's clear biblical grounds what Jimmy said concerning Doug. Like, and in fact, I'm going to have the theologian that Lisa Turkhurst had on.
That's a good.
I'm going to have the theologian that talked about the reasons for biblical divorce, and one of them is abandonment. It's clear in the Bible, but it's just, you know, you've got legalistic people that want to hold on to that other.
Yeah.
But let me have a minute with Jimmy, and I want to talk to him, share some personal stuff with him.
Did you read, Doug, the letter I wrote you?
The letter.
The email I wrote you? You did? How did he take it?
The one that I was so angry about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just full of falsehoods and legalism and like Jimmy said, a lack of respect and honor. And
Was he, how did he take it when you read it to him?
well, I mean, I can go through it with you paragraph by paragraph, but let me talk to him for a minute. If I call Doug here, do you want to come in and say that? Do you want to say I'm sorry and I'm gonna?
No. I was just saying that if you wanted me to be involved in an after meeting, I wasn't sure if like what you guys had planned.
The only reason for you to be here would be able to say, for you to say, I'm going to submit to my mom's leadership and I'm sorry for the way I've acted.
But I haven't.
We don't have
Okay.
that. I just think you.
That's fine. All right. Love you. Okay.